first 11 goals. You must have been so proud of the guys.
Yeah, and we knew, any time you play away, the start's important. Obviously losing Walshy probably later in the week too sort of dampened the team a little bit coming in, but really confident still about what we could do. We do build our game off, I think, the right things. The sort of effort that we bring and energy we put into our contest and the pressure we want to put on the game, and that's what you need at every game that you play. So we'll keep challenging the players to be able to play in that manner for the entirety of the game. But when you come away to a away venue, it's pretty important that you don't get the crowd involved and you don't get a young team, feeling too good about themselves at the start of a game.
How hard is it to continue that momentum when you've effectively got the game in the bag, and it seemed like there were times in that second half where perhaps going through the motions and things like that?
Well, I'd like to think that most of the things that we talk about is not really much to do about the scoreboard. It's about how we want to play and the standards we want to play to. So we'll continue to reinforce what that actually looks like for us. And the great thing that we've got is that we've got a really clear picture about what that actually looks like. The method of football we want to play, in all three phases is really clear for us. So our ability to sustain that over the course of 4 quarters shouldn't be determined what the scoreboard's actually doing to us. It should be about just more what mode do we need to play, what has the opposition adjusted, and then what do we need to correct in our play to be able to get back to where we need to. So you're not going to get your own way for 120 minutes. But what we can do is continue to be really clear on the way we play, keep bringing the intensity we need, and keep being a great teamate.
How important was your handball in that first quarter, in that fast start?
Yeah, we did break them open pretty well, but look, to West Coast credit over the last month, I think what is becoming clear is a real clear identity about the way they want to play, and the real threat for us was, their ball movement out of back half, and maybe the weather sort of played a bit of a role in that, but I felt like that was a really key thing for us. We put a lot of energy into that, and they've been able to generally get a lot of ball speed, and they weren't able to in the first half. I don't think they really got a lot of ball speed across the whole night, to be honest with you. So there's a fair bit of work that needs to in our team system be able to make that happen. So with that came some opportunities back the other way, and fortunately we were able to take those opportunities, control field position.
Did you want to go into a different mode in the second half when you had a few injury concerns?
There was a bit to deal with at half time. So obviously our tools were our major issue, and not having them. So working out who was going to be second ruck, and were we going to play a small forward line? Do we need to shift anyone out of the back half to the front half? So there was a fair bit to think about. That's an unusual spanner that we got thrown to us, but probably didn't adapt necessarily as well as what we'd like. But I feel like our intensity dropped just a little bit too much, and strayed from what set us up in a really good position in the first half.
Is it calf tightness?
Yeah.
Can you give us your assessment of what you know?
Well, calf tightness, but I think we sort of got to the point where we weren't going to take any risk with it. Charlie mentioned about going back out there, but ultimately it was sort of made the decision that that was a risk not worth taking. So we'll find out clearly, obviously, what happened. Hutto's done hurt his hamstring, so that was a little bit tight. And then obviously was I think during the third quarter, was it that he hurt it again? So we'll get that scan and find out how he goes.
You've been all year your base game on contested footy. I think you're number one contested for the competition, and up 20-odd halfway through the second quarter. What happened halfway through the second quarter? I think they've taken the contested game, levelled and jumped in front of you a little bit after that period of time. What changed?
Yeah, it's the intensity on the game. We obviously weren't able to continue to play at the same intensity. So, after half time, it's not a fatigue thing. It's just are we still valuing the right things? Does the scoreboard actually matter? And we'll dig into that. But what we'll also do is make sure that put up on lights exactly what we want to play like, and what are the behaviours that we need that support us. So our challenge will be how do we sustain that, because we're not right now. So we need to be able to sustain that for longer than what we are. So, but it's not because the players won't have a really clear picture on what works. we've got that clear picture, but clearly we're obviously not playing it for long enough.
And is it the same that you get asked about every week, second halves? I think you've won 7 quarters after half time all season. Is it the same thing? Is it the same thing tonight? Same thing last
Yeah, there's some familiarity to it. Yeah, a familiar tale. So, but I think like the wash up will be that we'll look at that and look at it in due course over the course of the next couple of days, and we'll continue to have those conversations. It's not like they haven't been had. We've had a few of them. So I guess the challenge will be is that look at the positivity of our the way that we play and what puts us in those positions, and that's what we'll probably tend to focus on. It doesn't necessarily mean that we accept it all. We'll challenge where we need to challenge, but when you're coming away, I mean, if you strip it all back, you're coming away to venue. You're playing against an opposition that's been in pretty good form for the first half of the year. Had a very, very dominant first half. And we're obviously able to play out the game with some challenges and not exactly the way we'd want to finish the game, but we get the result, and that's an important 4 points.
With Harry McKay, does he need a bit of surgery on his knee?
I'm not sure. We have to explore that. It'd be too early for me to say, other than to say that we need to investigate it further, and obviously seeing a specialist is one of those steps that we'll take, and then we'll make some decisions off the back of that, probably sometime during the week.
Has it just not progressed over the last?
No, it hasn't. Yeah, just the last 2 weeks. Obviously we had a look at it a couple of weeks ago, and the advice was to wait and see how it responded. It seemed like it was hopeful that it'd turn a corner, but it hasn't. So we'll have to just do a little bit more further investigation and then make a call from there.
How's he holding up? He must be frustrated, no doubt.
With Harry.
How's he holding up?
He's holding up okay. But like whenever a player gets injured, it's not nice. They want to play. So, but yeah, it's same with Walshy. He'll be missed, but what we've got to continue to do is we've got a job to do, and we look forward to the next 6 days, and we go into process mode. That's what we do. We've shown that the next man in can come in and play a role for us, and we've been able to do that pretty well over the last couple of weeks. So, coming out of the bye, we've got a couple of wins. So, the boys should be feeling pretty good about themselves about how we've handled ourselves post-bye.
And with Kerno, do you expect him to play next week?
To guess that would be very, very dangerous. I'll just let the doctors take care of that one, and then I'll become the expert after that.
So Mitch McGovern kicked 3 goals. How important could he be in that role?
Yeah, very. He's well, look, a couple of weeks ago we needed to change our forward mix. So probably knew that there was going to be some, some parts that didn't go 100% right for 120 minutes. But Sincotta's come into that. Williams has come back, had an impact for us. McGovern's gone from back to now playing in the forward line. Hudson obviously came in as his debut 2 weeks ago. Obviously we'll lose him. So there's been a fair bit of change in that particular part of the game. So to have that level of continuity is probably the priority for us right now. It's just to be able to get the continuity, and so when under pressure, obviously we do the same things.
Do you like the look of the smaller forward line? You've been known for tools for so long.
Yeah.
I know the smalls has copped a bit of criticism, but you've got some form out there. Like Fogarty kicks 3 goals in the first quarter.
Yeah.
You've got power there.
Yeah, I'd like a couple more though. Yes, it'd be nice to have a couple down there, just only because they do draw the ball, and but we've shown also in the past that if we need to be able to take that as a strategy, then we can do it. So it probably does put a load on a couple of different people to be able to go that way. But look, in the short term, we'll sort of assess. Some players are in some great form in the VFL right now, so they're presenting in really, really good form. So we'll find out whether that's who comes in to be able to fill the void on that. But we do need that presence forward of the ball. If nothing else, we need a second ruck, and we've just got to be have a bit more thought about where that comes from.
Just in midfield broadly, what did you like at ground level without Sam in there?
Say that again, sorry.
So your midfield broadly without Sam Walsh in there, what did you like?
Oh no, really good. I mean, look, continued exposure for some of our guys. With even just with a guy like Jackson Binns, who's coming in to play a few games. Cooper Lord, who has largely been playing out of position, but such is the young man and his attitude, he's just happy to be out there and play any role that he gets given. And the detail he's been able to put into his game and the adjustment he's been able to make is beyond his years. So the fact that Sam's obviously come out is probably give us an opportunity to be able to get some time for him to be able to play some midfield. And so, the investment in our young players will continue, and that's where their opportunity lies now. So that's now theirs to make the most of it. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.